In the Jewish religion, funeral procedures are deeply rooted in tradition and religious law, reflecting respect for the deceased and comfort for the mourners. Central to Jewish funeral practices is the belief in the sanctity of the body, which must be treated with the utmost respect and dignity. In Judaism, burial rituals are guided by the notion of kavod haamet, meaning honoring and respect for the dead. This tenet underscores the entire process, ensuring that the deceased are treated with dignity and honor. Jewish law, halakha, prescribes that the body should be buried as soon as possible, usually within 24 hours, with respecting the dignity of the deceased and honor his life. When a person dies, the religious community official is contacted to begin funeral arrangements. There are specialized institutions called Shevra Kadisha, which are volunteer groups that specialize in preparing the deceased for burial. This includes the ritual purification, known as tahara, where the body is carefully washed and dressed in simple white shrouds, called tachrikim. Shevra Kadisha is a Jewish burial society, or an organization for preparation of the bodies of deceased Jews before burial, according to Jewish tradition, and are protected from desecration. Two of the main requirements are the showing of proper respect for a corpse and the ritual cleansing of the body and subsequent dressing for burial. The process begins with the ritual washing of the body, or tahara, which is carried out with the utmost respect. The tahara is not only a physical act, but also a spiritual one, designed to prepare the soul for its final journey. Once cleansed, the body will be wrapped in a special shroud known as the takrikim, which are simple white linen garments. These garments are deliberately unadorned and identical for all, symbolizing equality in death. This wrapping represents a message of asceticism and modesty, as no luxury or decoration is added to the shroud, reflecting the idea that a person returns to the dust with a single face that is not overwhelmed by the charms of this world. The shroud is decorated with simple modifications, such as laces in 3 places: the head, the middle, and the feet. A tallit, or a fringed prayer shawl worn by religious Jews, may be placed around the shoulders of a Jewish man. If so, the tzitzit, or corner fringe of the shawl, is cut as a symbol of how the death has effectively removed the mitzvah responsibilities he carried during his lifetime. Mitzvah is a Hebrew word that has been used in the Jewish faith for centuries. Its literal translation means commandment or obligation, and it refers to the religious duties and deeds that are required of Jewish people. In Judaism, there are 613 mitzvah or commandments found in the Torah, which is the central text of Jewish law and tradition, or halakha. These commandments cover all aspects of daily life, including family relationships, personal behavior, ritual observances, social relations, and more. Each mitzvah is seen as a way for Jews to connect with God and fulfill their purpose in the world. A mitzvah can be a physical action, such as lighting candles on Shabbat or wearing tzitzit, fringes, on clothing, but they can also be intangible actions like studying halacha, Jewish law, and giving prayers and blessings to others. The final stage is the placement of the body into a simple wood coffin. In accordance with Jewish traditions, the coffin is often unembellished, honoring the idea that simplicity should permeate even in death. The coffin is closed without adornments and sealed, readying the deceased for burial. It is strictly forbidden to speak ill of the deceased during this ritual. During the funeral, the coffin is carried on shoulders towards the cemetery in a procession known as the levaya. Levaya is usually conducted as soon as possible, often within 24 hours, to honor the deceased and prevent unnecessary delay. In Judaism, prompt burial after death is desirable, with burial usually taking place within 24 hours of death, unless there are legal restrictions. The service may take place in a synagogue, funeral home, or graveside, depending on the family's preference and community customs. A rabbi typically leads the service, offering prayers, psalms, and eulogies that reflect on the life and character of the deceased. Upon arrival at the cemetery, the coffin is lowered into the ground. A mound of dirt is placed on the coffin by family and friends, a symbolic process called Scott Teshuvah, which means a firm promise to return to one's origins. At the graveside, simplicity is emphasized. The burial is straightforward, with the coffin placed directly into the ground. Family members may participate in throwing soil onto the coffin, symbolizing the finality of death and acknowledging the deceased's return to the earth. Prayers such as the El Malay Rachamim, asking for God's compassion, or recite, is a Jewish prayer for the soul of a person who has died, usually recited at the graveside during the burial service. Psalms are also read as a testament to faith and resolve during grief. A key component of Jewish funerals is the eulogy, delivered by a rabbi or a close family member. The eulogy focuses on the life and virtues of the deceased, often highlighting their faith and commitment to Jewish values. Unlike some other traditions, it is customary for the coffin to remain closed during the service. It is customary for family and friends to participate in filling the grave, a symbolic gesture of love and respect. A significant aspect of the funeral is the act of accompanying the deceased to their final resting place. The procession to the grave is performed with dignity and solemnity. A special prayer for the dead, known as a Kaddish, is said during the funeral. The Kaddish, a prayer of sanctification, is recited by the mourners, reinforcing a sense of communal support and continuity. After the burial, the mourning period called Shiva begins, which lasts 7 days. During this period, family and friends gather in the family home to offer support and comfort and refrain from work and leisure activities. During Shiva, mirrors are covered. Mourners sit on low stools, and traditional garments of mourning are worn, embracing a supportive environment where friends and family visit to offer condolences. The mourners recite prayers and abstain from daily activities, focusing on their grief and reflections on the deceased. The observance of Shloshim marks the subsequent 30 days. Through these rituals, Jewish customs beautifully emphasize the continuation of life beyond death, the inherent dignity of every individual, and the eternal peace that follows in the divine presence. Each of these customs and traditions is carefully implemented to reflect the mutual respect and commitment between the living and the dead, to strengthen man's relationship with God, and to maintain the importance of religious rituals for the continuity of the Jewish community and the preservation of its ancient traditions. This ritual is a turning point for the family and community to reunite in an expression of grief and solidarity with the bereaved family. Therefore, understanding these procedures is important in order to align them with Jewish religious and spiritual values. In Judaism, death is seen not as the end, but rather a transition to what lies beyond, with the burial customs serving as a bridge between life and death, honoring both the deceased and life itself.